Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today feels like one of those topics that quietly sits in your chest, That feeling that everyone else is moving forward and somehow you're standing still. I've had that feeling more times than I can count.
Same here. And I think a lot of us in our 20s and 30s carry this pressure like a backpack we never take off. We look around and think, I should be further by now. It's heavy and it's exhausting.
Exactly. So today, we're talking about learning to trust yourself even when you feel behind. Not the loud, confident kind of trust, but the quiet one that stays with you on hard days. The kind that says, I'm still okay.
This isn't about fixing your whole life in one day. It's more like sitting with a friend who understands that feeling of being late to your own life. And honestly, I really need this conversation too.
Me too. So take a breath with us, maybe slow down for a moment, and just listen. If this topic speaks to you, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us continue these conversations.
And don't forget, there's a PDF with the full conversation if you want to read it again or save it for later. All right, let's get into it.
I want to start with something very honest. A few years ago, I felt like I was watching life through a window. Friends were getting married, changing jobs, moving to new countries, and I was still asking myself basic questions like, what am I even good at?
I really relate to that. I remember scrolling on my phone late at night, seeing all these updates, and feeling this quiet panic. Not loud, not dramatic, just this thought, I'm falling behind. It's such a simple sentence, but it hits hard.
It does. And what made it worse was that on the outside, everything looked fine. I had a job, I was healthy, I wasn't failing. But inside, I didn't trust my own timeline. I kept thinking something was wrong with me.
That's such an important point, the idea of a timeline. We grow up with this invisible schedule in our heads. By this age, you should have this. By that age, you should feel confident. When we don't match it, we feel broken.
Yes, and I want to share an expression that helped me later. It's behind the scenes. It means what's really happening in someone's life, not what we see online. Everyone has struggles behind the scenes, even if their life looks perfect.
I love that one, and it connects to something I learned the hard way. I used to compare my behind the scenes to other people's highlights. That's not a fair comparison at all, but we do it without thinking.
Exactly. And when you keep doing that, you slowly stop trusting yourself. You start thinking, if I knew what I was doing, I wouldn't feel this lost. Have you ever felt that?
All the time, especially when I changed careers. I was older than most beginners, and I felt awkward asking questions. There's another expression here, to feel out of place. It means feeling like you don't belong somewhere, even if you actually do.
That's a perfect description. I felt out of place in my own life for a while, and instead of being kind to myself, I pushed harder. I told myself to hurry up, to catch up, to be better faster.
And did that help?
Honestly, no. It just made me tired and more confused. What helped was something very small. I started listening to my own reactions. If something drained me, I paid attention. If something gave me energy, even a little, I respected that.
That sounds like the beginning of trust. Not big decisions, but small signals. There's an expression for that too. One step at a time. It means you don't need the full plan, just the next small step.
Yes, and trusting yourself often starts there, not with confidence, but with honesty. Saying, this is where I am right now, without judging it. That was really hard for me at first.
I get that. I used to think trusting myself meant always feeling sure. But now I think it means staying with yourself even when you're unsure, not leaving yourself emotionally when things feel slow.
That's beautifully said. And maybe that's the message someone needs today. You're not behind because you're slow. You're just moving in a way that fits your life, your experiences, your limits.
And limits aren't failures. They're information. They tell you where you are and what you need. When I started seeing it that way, I felt less pressure to rush.
Me too. And I still have days where the old thoughts come back. But now, instead of panicking, I say, okay, this feeling again. There's another useful phrase, to give yourself grace. It means being kind to yourself when things aren't perfect.
That phrase changed a lot for me. Giving yourself grace doesn't mean giving up. It means you stop fighting yourself. And when you stop fighting, you can actually move forward.
Exactly. Trust grows in a calm space, not in fear. And maybe if you're listening and feeling behind, this is your reminder that you're allowed to go at your own pace.
And you're allowed to trust that pace, even if it doesn't look impressive to anyone else. You know, something else I struggled was this fear that trusting myself meant missing chances. Like if I didn't push harder or move faster, I'd lose opportunities forever.
I had that fear too. It's like there's this voice saying, if you slow down, life will pass you by. But when I look back, the moments I rushed into without listening to myself didn't really help me grow.
Same here. I said yes to things that looked good on paper but felt wrong inside. I ignored that quiet discomfort. There's an expression for that, a gut feeling. It means a deep feeling inside you that tells you something is right or wrong, even if you can't explain why.
Yes, gut feelings are powerful. For a long time, I didn't trust mine because I thought emotions made me weak. I wanted clear signs, clear answers, but life rarely gives us that.
That's true. And when you feel behind, it's even harder to trust your gut because you're already doubting yourself. You think, how can I trust someone who hasn't figured things out yet?
Exactly. I remember sitting alone one evening, feeling really stuck. I wasn't sad in a dramatic way, just quietly disappointed in myself. And I realized something important. I didn't actually need a big breakthrough. I needed to stop being my own enemy.
That hits deep. Being your own enemy is exhausting. We talk to ourselves in ways we would never talk to a friend.
Never! If a friend said, I feel behind, I wouldn't say, well, you should have done better by now. I'd say, you've been trying. You've been surviving. That's another useful phrase, to cut yourself some slack. It means to be less strict with yourself.
I like that one. Cutting yourself some slack doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you recognize effort, not just results. When I started doing that, my days felt lighter.
Mine too. And trust started growing naturally, not suddenly, but slowly. I began to believe that even if I didn't know the full path, I could handle the next turn.
That reminds me of another expression people use a lot, figuring things out. It simply means learning as you go, not having everything planned. Most adults are just figuring things out, even if they look confident.
That's such an important truth. We think everyone else has a map, but most people are walking and drawing the map at the same time. Realizing that made me feel less alone.
Me too. And I think feeling behind often comes from silence. We don't talk about these fears openly, so they grow bigger in our heads.
Yes, silence makes everything heavier. When I finally said out loud, I feel behind, nothing that happened. The world didn't end. In fact, people nodded and said, me too.
That shared feeling is powerful. It reminds you that this isn't a personal failure. It's part of being human in a world that moves very fast.
And trusting yourself in that world is an act of courage. It means saying, I don't need to run just because others are running.
That's a strong image, walking while others run. It sounds scary, but it can also be peaceful. When I slowed down, I noticed what actually mattered to me.
Same. I noticed I wanted a life that felt calm, not impressive. And that was a big shift. I stopped chasing goals that didn't feel like mine.
That's another good phrase, to feel like yourself. It means your actions match who you really are inside. When I feel like myself, even small progress feels meaningful.
Yes, and that feeling is a kind of success we don't talk about enough. Especially for adults who feel late or lost, feeling like yourself again is huge.
I agree. And maybe trust isn't about believing you'll always succeed. Maybe it's believing you'll be okay even if things don't work out perfectly.
That's beautifully said. Trusting yourself means trusting your ability to adapt, to learn, to rest when needed, not just to achieve.
And rest is important too. When you feel behind, rest can feel like a mistake, but sometimes it's exactly what helps you hear yourself again.
Absolutely. I used to think rest was for people who were done. Now I see it's for people who want to keep going without breaking.
That shift in thinking changes everything. It turns life from a race into a journey. And journeys have pauses, wrong turns, and quiet moments.
And those quiet moments are often where trust grows. When you stop running, you can finally ask yourself, what do I really need right now?
That question is simple but powerful, and answering it honestly is one of the kindest things you can do for yourself.
You know, when I finally started asking myself what I really needed, the answers surprised me. I expected something big, like a new goal or a dramatic change, but most of the time the answer was simple: more patience, more sleep, or just less pressure.
That sounds very familiar. I used to think my needs had to be impressive to be valid. Like, if I wasn't aiming for something huge, I was wasting time. But honestly, meeting basic needs changed my life more than chasing big dreams ever did.
Yes, and that connects to another expression I learned later, to burn out. It means being so tired and stressed that you can't function well anymore. I didn't realize I was burned out because I kept telling myself, others are doing more, so I should too.
Burnout is sneaky. It doesn't always look like total collapse. Sometimes it's just losing motivation, feeling numb, or waking up tired every day. And when you're burned out, trusting yourself becomes almost impossible.
Exactly, because your inner voice is tired too. It can't guide you clearly when it's exhausted. That's why slowing down isn't falling behind. Sometimes it's the only way forward.
I wish someone had told me that earlier. I remember a period when I felt stuck and ashamed about it. I kept thinking, if I rest now, I'll regret it later. But what I actually regret is not resting sooner.
That's such an honest reflection. Regret often comes from ignoring ourselves, not from moving slowly. And when we talk about trust, I think we need to include trust in our limits.
Yes, trusting that your limits are real, not excuses. There's a phrase people use to hit a wall. It means reaching a point where you just can't continue the same way. I hit that wall, and it forced me to change.
I hit that wall too, and at first I felt embarrassed, like I failed some invisible test of adulthood. But now I see that wall as a turning point. It made me listen.
Listening is such a big part of trust, not just listening to advice, but listening inward. When you feel behind, outside voices can be very loud.
So loud. Family, social media, even well-meaning friends. Everyone has an opinion about what you should be doing. Trusting yourself sometimes means lowering that noise.
That's hard, though, especially when you're unsure. How did you start doing that?
Honestly, by asking better questions. Instead of asking, what should I do next? I asked, what feels possible right now? That small change removed a lot of pressure.
That's a great question. What feels possible right now? It respects where you are. It doesn't force you into someone else's pace.
Exactly. And when I answered honestly, the steps were small. Sometimes the step was just not quitting. Sometimes it was trying again gently, without expectations.
That gentle approach is underrated. We often think change has to hurt to be real, but slow, kind changes last longer.
They really do, and they build trust step by step. Every time you listen to yourself and respond kindly, you're telling your mind, I'm safe with me.
That's such a powerful idea, feeling safe with yourself. When I didn't trust myself, I felt like I was constantly being judged, even when I was alone.
Me too. That inner judge can be very harsh, but trust softens that voice. It doesn't disappear, but it gets quieter.
And when it gets quieter, you can hear other things: curiosity, hope, even excitement. Those feelings don't disappear just because you feel behind.
They wait patiently. I think that's important to remember. Just because your life feels paused doesn't mean you are empty.
That's beautiful. And I want to add something for anyone listening who feels late or lost. Your past choices don't cancel your future. They shape it.
Yes, and trusting yourself also means trusting that you can learn from mistakes without being defined by them.
That's a big shift. Seeing mistakes as information, not proof that you're broken.
Exactly. When I stopped seeing my past as a list of failures, I felt lighter. I could finally say, I did the best I could with what I knew then.
That sentence carries so much kindness, and it opens the door to moving forward without shame.
Shame is such a heavy emotion. It keeps you stuck in the past. Trust gently pulls you back to the present.
And in the present, you always have some choice. Maybe not a big one, but a small one. And small choices add up.
They do. Trust isn't built in one moment. It's built in many quiet moments where you choose yourself again and again.
Even when you're scared, even when you feel behind.
Especially then.
I think that's something I really want to stay with for a moment. Choosing yourself when you're scared. Because fear doesn't disappear just because you decide to trust yourself.
No, it really doesn't. Trust and fear often walk together. I used to think trust meant being fearless, but now I see it's more like saying, I'm scared, but I'm still here with myself.
That's such a real definition. I remember making a decision once that felt right, but also terrifying. I kept waiting to feel calm before moving forward, but the calm never came. I had to move with the fear.
And that's brave, even if it doesn't feel like it. There's an expression people use, to show up. It means being present and trying, even when things are uncomfortable. Trusting yourself often starts with simply showing up for your own life.
I like that a lot. Showing up doesn't require confidence, just honesty. Some days, showing up looks like doing something small. Other days, it's just not giving up.
Yes, and not giving up doesn't always mean pushing harder. Sometimes it means staying gentle. I think many adults confuse strength with pressure.
That's true. We're taught to be strong by ignoring pain, but real strength might be listening to it. When I finally listened, I realized how tired I was of proving myself.
Proving yourself is exhausting. And the question is, proving yourself to whom? Most of the time, it's not even real people, just imagined expectations.
Exactly. When I stopped trying to impress an invisible audience, I felt more free. I could make choices based on what felt meaningful, not what looked successful.
That shift changes everything. Meaning lasts longer than approval. And when your choices feel meaningful to you, trust grows naturally.
I think that's something many people need to hear. You don't have to rush to catch up. There's no finish line where life suddenly makes sense.
Life keeps changing, and so do we. Trusting yourself means trusting that you can change too, without losing your worth.
That's so important. Feeling behind often comes with feeling less valuable, but your value isn't connected to speed or milestones.
Not at all. Your value comes from being human, from trying, from caring, even from resting, especially from resting.
I love that. And I want to say something directly to the listener. If you feel behind right now, it doesn't mean you missed your chance. It means you're still on your path.
Yes, and your path doesn't need to look like anyone else's to be valid. Trust in yourself might feel uncomfortable at first, but discomfort doesn't mean you're wrong.
Sometimes it means you're finally being honest.
Exactly. And honesty is the foundation of trust. When you stop pretending to be okay and start accepting where you are, something softens inside.
I felt that softness for the first time when I stopped asking, what's wrong with me? And started asking, what do I need?
That question is so kind, and kindness toward yourself is not weakness. It's wisdom learned through experience.
Experience that often comes from feeling lost, late, or unsure. Those moments teach you things success never could.
They really do. And one day, you may look back and realize that this slow, confusing part of your life taught you how to trust yourself deeply.
And that kind of trust stays with you. Jobs change, relationships change, plans fall apart, but self-trust becomes a quiet home you can return to.
I love that image. A quiet home inside yourself. Safe, imperfect, but yours.
And you don't need to build it all at once. Just one honest moment at a time.
I'm allowed to be where I am.
One moment where you choose patience over panic.
One moment where you believe that your life isn't late. It's unfolding.
If you can hold on to that, even a little, you're already doing better than you think.
And you're not alone in this. We're all learning, slowly, how to trust ourselves in a world that tells us to hurry.
So take a breath, stay with yourself, and trust that you're exactly where you need to be to become who you're meant to be.
Thank you for being here with us today.
Truly, thank you.